Malik, you ruined my life. You took my baby, my only son.
Some people have committed the worst possible crimes on earth. But what differentiates humans who make such mistakes because of various reasons and absolute monsters is remorse. You'll find people who are responsible for several murders remorseful in court, but today we are telling you about people who have committed the most heinous crimes but showed no remorse in court. Let's waste no time and get started. Scott Nelson. Scott Nelson is a 55-year-old man responsible for kidnapping and murdering a woman.
2017 CF 15684, Stavey Nelson, back from our recess.
He was charged with the first-degree murder of a 50-year-old woman, Jennifer Fulford. The man spent 10 years behind bars for armed robbery and later tried to pick himself up and become a respectable man in society. Who would have thought that this would end in a brutal murder? Sadly, a decade in prison didn't change this man. What makes this case worse is the man's reaction in court. He is heartless and cold during the trial while he confesses everything. Not to forget, he made satirical remarks about the victim during the confession. Yes, that's the degree of heartlessness. In addition, the man showed no regret or empathy toward the victim. Watch his answers to the court with no emotions and tell me that didn't creep you out.
The penal system in America is a spectacular failure. Nothing works. But everyone that drives by a prison, they glance at it real quick and keep driving. They may shudder, oh, that's it, oh God, and thank God I'm not there. And keep on a rolling. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what goes on in there. They'll spend $30,000 a year to keep you in jail, and they won't give you a nickel to keep you out. Turned me into an animal. I've been beaten. I've been chained to beds for days at a rip. I've been locked in cells that are so stifling hot. I have flashbacks to this very day. I've had cockroaches running over my body. I've been beaten. I've been raped. I've been everything in prison.
It was all about the money then. All about the money.
Isn't everything?
Is that a yes?
I had to eat. I'm a human being.
Is that a yes?
You're damn right it's yes.
He also said that he had no intention to kill a woman, but there's no way one could believe it after listening to his answers. He said the term was collateral damage. The court found him guilty as his responses didn't align with his reason for innocence.
Way into the house?
I don't recall any of this stuff right now, ma'am.
Did you have a knife with you when you went into the house?
Ma'am, you better check the confession. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, did I make it easy enough? It wasn't great police work that got me here. I gave it all to you.
Ronnie O'Neill. One day, 911 received a call. A woman screamed and hung up abruptly, and later, a man accused the woman of killing.
911, what is your emergency? Hey, I just been attacked by some white demons inside Kiki. Kiki, her name is Kiki, and she tried to kill me. What's she at? Huh?
Thankfully, his 8-year-old son survived the brutal crime of his father and explained what happened in front of the court. The son was adopted by the detective who cared for him during the night the crime was committed.
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Did you see me shoot your mom?
No.
Did I hurt you that night of this incident?
Yes.
I did. And how did I hurt you?
You stabbed me.
Ronnie is one of the strangest criminals you'll ever come across. Why? Watch this man throw a tantrum in the middle of the courtroom.
Evidence is going to show that we are under some of the most.
This man murdered his girlfriend and daughter and showed no remorse in court. Makes you question the entire existence of human relationships and bonds. He was a 29-year-old man who could have had a loving family but chose not to. He shot his girlfriend, Kenyatta Barron, and murdered his daughter by striking her multiple times with a hatchet. His daughter was just 9 years old. The man didn't stop there. He stabbed his 8-year-old son, poured gasoline all over the house, and set it on fire. Ronnie accused the prosecutor during the trial that they had fabricated the evidence. He was later found guilty, and the judge said this was the worst case she had ever encountered. But the man who murdered his wife and child said he was not sorry. Yes, hear it yourself.
I am not sorry for something I didn't do, and I am not sorry for the things I did do.
Randall Moore. Randall Moore is another cold-blooded man accused of kidnapping and killing his former wife, Teresa Ann Lynch, and also shooting a Des Moines officer, Todd Rowland, during a hostage situation in 2010.
You give a new meaning to the word evil. I've never, ever seen anybody like you.
He was found guilty and was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences for the heinous crime he committed against the woman and 25 years in prison for shooting the officer. But the man had no remorse and absolutely no empathy toward his victim. This is reflected in his trial when he insulted the victim's mother and went on to tirade in the courtroom. At one point in the trial, he was shown the childhood pictures of the victim, and he rambled constantly. He was rude and said the victim's picture should burn in the underworld. This statement caught the judge's attention, and the judge particularly noted it down. It was a clear sign that Randall should be worried about the karma of his crime instead of the victim's picture. The best thing about the trial is that the judge came up with the best return for his rude remarks. In the 11 minutes of closing arguments, he never apologized and said it could have been prevented if the woman had let him see his child. However, he apologized to the officer he shot. He also said that if the officer had pulled the trigger, he would have had one more murder charge on him. This is straight up rude, and no human in a sane mind can say something like this.
Point blank, I have not 1 ounce of remorse for Teresa Ann's death. It could have all been prevented. All you had to do is let me see my kid. Now you're never going to see her again.
He stood there nodding while the judge gave the verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of kidnapping in the first degree, guilty of sexual abuse in the first degree, guilty of attempt to commit murder.
Just tremendous relief. Tremendous relief.
Michael Swanson. One would wonder what went wrong when a 17-year-old man went on a killing spree and consequently forgot about expressing remorse. He was smiling during the trial. Yes, this is the most tragic scene you'll ever witness. He entered a gas station in Elgano, Iowa, in a ski mask and handgun. He demanded cash and cigarettes from a 47-year-old woman named Vicky Bowman and repeated the same in another gas station. He killed 2 attendees at the gas station in an hour. Later, he was arrested 60 miles from the shooting spot.
How could you do what you did to my mom and my family? I want to know if you're even sorry. Are you sorry for what you did?
He was asked where he shot in the trial, and the man said he aimed all over the body and face. It was clear that murder was his primary goal, as both victims were killed even after following his orders. He admitted that he felt powerful when he pulled the trigger. He was charged with first-degree murder and burglary. One of the victim's daughters gave an emotional statement, but the man sat there as if he wasn't related to what was happening there. Instead, he smiled and laughed when the judge sentenced him.
Cold-blooded murder, young man. And your counsel wants us to believe that you lack the capacity, that you were insane. And I don't buy into that. You are dangerous. You are unpredictable. And there is no place for you in an open, law-abiding society.
Isabel Martinez. Some people think that some powers are higher than human knowledge, and Isabel is one of them. It is strange how people harm their loved ones because of some invisible and questionable existence of a higher power. So what exactly happened? After losing her father, she felt that an evil spirit was haunting her family and would lead her to kill them all horribly to resurrect her father. She killed her husband and 4 children. She was also severely injured. Only 1 child survived the attack. She was giddy and even prayed to the evil force in the courtroom. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to never miss an update.